Hi, I'm Johnny. I'm a global artist ambassador for FENIX360, and I'm joined today by the musician JAMIE ALIMORAD. Hey, JAMIE, how are you, man?
I'm doing all right, John. Thanks for having me. This is great.
Oh, man, it's great to see you. Thanks for being with me. And listen, I was really hoping that we could share some of the music that you have up on your YouTube channel, JAMIE. Is it okay if we tune into Brighter Days?
Absolutely. It's one of my favorites.
All right, I love it. Okay, everybody, let's now tune in to the musician JAMIE ALIMORAD and Brighter Days.
Walls are closing in. It's getting hard to breathe. Thinking of cashing in my chips. I don't have an ace up my sleeve, but I hear a little voice inside me say, before I go and throw it all away, when it rains it pours, or just the weatherman said, this is tomorrow calling, there are brighter days ahead. When living's hard and you think you're better off dead, this is tomorrow calling, there are brighter days ahead. I look at my reflection, all I see are broken dreams, but I hear a voice say, look a little deeper, it ain't what it seems. There's a light behind a house full of scars. Crack the shell and find out who you really are.
JAMIE, great, man. So good to share with everybody. Brighter Days. And I'm really interested in learning about you. Can you tell me where you're from? And I'd love to hear some highlights about your journey as a musical artist.
Absolutely. So I'm originally from outside New York City in the suburbs, a town called Harrison, New York. I now reside in sunny Los Angeles. I couldn't take the winters anymore. I was born into a very, very musical family. Music was just as prevalent and abundant as the air that anyone would breathe in my house. So it's something that was just constant and a part of my life from my first conscious memories. And I think my progression is maybe typical for a lot of people. You started piano lessons, and did the church choir thing. I was in the school band. I did some musical theater. And when I went to school for college, that's when I started getting really serious about it. And I studied music technology and got my Bachelor of Science in Music Tech from Northeastern University. And while I was there, doing the Boston club and college scene is where I really cut my teeth, and I started writing a lot more. I had a band, then I went solo. I worked with some other projects and was really just doing whatever I could in town. And it served me well, because I started in the most disgusting dive bars with all the local drunks that really didn't want to hear anybody, and they're just heckling you the whole time. And it built up to, I think one of my last gigs was at Paradise Rock Club by BU, and there were about 1,000 people there. And I even got to sing the national anthem at Fenway Park before a game, representing my senior class at Northeastern. It was pretty cool.
Oh, that's really super cool.
Yeah. And then from there, I started recording and went out, and I've been doing that ever since, and toured the country a few times, and have lots of new music coming in 2022.
I love it. Now, listen, JAMIE, it's great that you had that influence, even starting, at home, where music was really valued, and, you experienced it. And then you went on, to study. I mean, that's a lot of discipline throughout even, your first education situations with the band, and then all the way through college, and to understand music technology and a lot of those technical aspects of music theory before you go on to become a performer, and then to the point where you're actually delivering the national anthem at Fenway.
Yeah.
That is tremendous. So let
It's
me ask
pretty
this
cool.
question then. That is a journey and was a lot of discipline, a lot of work. Were there other artists that you watched when you were growing up that you were like, oh man, I love what they do, or performers that help influence your sound and your work?
Well, the biggest fortune I had with that was I watched my dad. My dad was a prominent singer. He was originally from overseas and was very popular internationally. And then when he came to the States in the late 60s, 1970, around there, he started doing clubs and then got on the resort circuit. And he shared the stage with the Four Tops and Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons, and had comedians open up for him like Regis Philbin, and when he was playing all the resorts and stuff like that. So watching him, and he sang in multiple languages, and seeing the way that he would go about his business was the easiest thing for me to absorb like a sponge. And then from there, whatever he liked, he would just slowly slip me a cassette or a CD, and that's what we'd listen to in the car. We'll be playing on the home stereo. And to his credit, there wasn't anything that he ever played me that I went, I'm not really into that. Everything that was given to me, I took to it. It's probably because I have half of his DNA, So
Right.
with all that, it was a rabbit hole that I still continue to go down. And I'm very much a liner note geek. I love seeing who played, who wrote, who produced, arranged, everything like that. And it's funny you bring up the education stuff, and going through the music theory and understanding the tech portion of it. Before I even knew what a music education was, I was getting it by reading those liner notes, because even at 6 years old, I could see these names appearing on a bunch of my favorite albums. And clearly these people weren't in the band, because when I'd see the band picture, well, they're not there. So like, who are these people like Steve Lukather? Right. And all these session guys, Mike Landau, and of course, like Luke in this case, he's in Toto. But you go through all these different names and these different albums, and you see, all right, there are styles and there are sounds that I really gravitate towards. And it's no wonder that this person is on this project and that project, and I like them so much. So I really learned a lot about my taste at a very young age. I just didn't understand exactly what that meant until I got deeper into my training as a piano player. And then I started writing songs, and, when you get a little bit older, all the preteen, teenage stuff.
Right. I hear you. But what's really cool is that you could have the interest and the appreciation, for a lot of the design kind of personnel who are involved behind the scene, behind the music, to, in essence, create these compositions and to give them some cred, I think is very cool. It's for example, you watch the Oscars or so forth, and most people are just interested in the best actor and actress. And
right.
But if you're in the industry, you appreciate everyone, all the writers, you know what I mean? And
yeah.
all the, it's just so important, I think, the different contributions that people make from an artistic
absolutely
perspective.
Yeah, it takes a village. I mean, you only, as an audience member or as a patron, get to see the finished product.
Yes.
But the blood, sweat, and tears, and the time that goes into everything to make that, I think if most people understood, they would value it a whole lot more. And it would almost seem like magic in some ways. But then to see people actually do it, you're like, how do they do this stuff? It's right. Really cool. I'm always fascinated by that stuff.
Me too. And what you say about magic, it is magic, man, because it's from soul, and it's coming from these expressions are really like, they're divine. And everybody who has got their hands in the pie are, you know what I mean? They're all blessed hands, and they're all crafts people that create this composition that is truly like, is a jewel. So at any rate, let me ask this question then, Jamie. What are you working on now? What's coming up here soon?
I'm really excited for everything that's going on this year. I spent most of the summer into the fall in the studio with my collaborator and producer, Ross Finelli, and we've written a ton of music. And what my goals were in writing these songs was to make it as rhythmic as possible. Anything that would get somebody moving, pop, R&B, funk, rock, combining those genres. And the stuff that we've done is, I think, some of my best work, and it's pushing my sound in a little bit of an edgier direction. It really does some things that I hadn't done before, and it's my kind of pop music. I love a really sweet melody. Melody is always king for me. Lots of harmonies, lots of really good groove and strong hooks. So the first single, Give a Little Lovin', came out on January 7th. And it's on FENIX360, and it's doing really well on all the platforms. And I'm hoping that things get a little bit more normal, that live shows are going to come back in abundance, because we're chomping at the bit to get the band on stage. And whether it's plugged in electric or stripped down acoustic, I just want to play at this point. We're talking with a variety of venues across the United States, and hopeful that as we get into the spring, it might be easier to do that more consistently. And then throughout the year, there's going to be a bunch of singles coming out. And then probably towards the end of whatever I consider this project, we'll put a nice little bow on it and call it an album, as that's the way it seems to be going now. And lots of good things coming ahead.
I love it, Jamie. Well, we are going to look forward to your progress. And I just appreciate your whole trajectory as an artist, and how it can continue to churn out, beautiful music, you know what I mean, and lift people with it. So thank you for that, brother. I want everyone to tune in to Jamie's social media channels. You can find them below our interview today, and appreciate him also being on FENIX360. Jamie, thanks for being with me, man. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, John. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, me too. Thanks, buddy. Take care.
Ciao.
Gonna need to give me a softer landing. I need a little more understanding. I'm not accustomed to being blindsided. Threw me off course, but I'm gonna ride it, yeah. Not ready to say goodbye, not ready to take the fall, not ready to say goodbye. Last night we flew to the moon like two halves that make a whole. Suddenly morning comes and I'm flying so low. Should've done this, should've done that. Things you say you can't take back. Oh no, now I just can't let go. I fell head over heels, I jumped when you said jump.